Are they doing
No,
this
not
to
at
her?
all.
Are they making her, like...
There's a certain magic in watching someone rewrite the story of who they're meant to be. Before the world knew her as Carrie Bradshaw, strutting through Manhattan in designer heels and delivering the gospel of love, friendship, and chaos, Sarah Jessica Parker was just a little girl from a struggling family in small-town Ohio. She didn't grow up with silk dresses or silver spoons. She grew up with hand-me-down shoes, discount lunches, and a dream that didn't fit her world. While other kids played outside, Sarah rehearsed lines in front of a mirror, believing that someday the stage lights would find her face. And they did. But fame came with a price. Behind the sparkle of Sex and the City lay years of rejection, pressure, and the heavy cost of becoming an icon. So how did a child of poverty become the woman who defined luxury, confidence, and independence for an entire generation? How did Sarah Jessica Parker turn struggle into stardom and pain into power? This is the story of the girl who wore hope like a second skin and walked her way into history. Sarah Jessica Parker was born on March 25, 1965, in Nelsonville, Ohio, a quiet coal mining town far removed from the glamour she would one day embody. She was the fourth of 8 children in a family that lived paycheck to paycheck. Her parents divorced when she was just 2 years old, leaving her mother, Barbara, to raise the children while juggling multiple jobs. Barbara later remarried, but even with a stepfather's help, money was always tight. The Parkers often relied on public assistance, and Christmas presents were sometimes second-hand toys. Yet amid the struggle, Sarah's mother believed fiercely in art and education. She encouraged her children to read, to dream, and to perform, anything that could lift them beyond the limits of their reality. Sarah's first stage wasn't Broadway. It was her living room, where she sang show tunes while her siblings clapped along. Teachers quickly noticed her gift for acting and dancing, describing her as a child with an old soul. When a local talent scout invited her to audition for a musical in New York, her family took a leap of faith. They packed everything into a small car and moved east, believing that maybe, just maybe, their little girl's voice could change their destiny. It was a gamble built on love, sacrifice, and an unshakable belief that dreams, no matter how fragile, were worth chasing. New York City was a world away from Ohio, louder, faster, and far less forgiving. But for young Sarah Jessica Parker, it was a world of opportunity. At just 11 years old, she landed her first professional role in the Broadway play The Innocents. The lights, the audience, the smell of the stage. It was everything she had imagined while staring at her. Reflection back home. Her big break came soon after when she was cast as the lead in the hit musical Annie. For a child who once dreamed of being seen, she was now standing center stage 8 times a week, her voice echoing through packed theaters. The family's sacrifices were beginning to pay off, but success in New York came with new challenges. Sarah was homeschooled while performing, balancing scripts, rehearsals, and the constant move between auditions. She wasn't like other teenagers. Her classroom was backstage, her homework done under dim dressing room lights. Still, she loved every moment of it. Each performance made her stronger, more certain of who she wanted to be. By the early 1980s, she began transitioning into television, landing small roles in Square Pegs and Footloose. Hollywood was starting to notice. The little girl from Ohio had found her stage, but her true transformation was only just beginning. By the late 1990s, Sarah Jessica Parker had already built a solid career, charming audiences in romantic comedies and stage productions. But nothing could have prepared her, or the world, for what came next. In 1998, HBO premiered Sex and the City, a daring, witty, and unapologetically honest portrayal of modern womanhood. Parker, cast as Carrie Bradshaw, wasn't just playing a role. She became the voice of a generation. With her messy curls, designer heels, and heart full of contradictions, Carrie embodied every woman trying to balance love, friendship, and ambition. The show was revolutionary. It wasn't just about dating or fashion. It was about freedom, vulnerability, and identity. Parker's performance earned her 4 Golden Globes, 2 Emmy Awards, and cemented her as both a feminist icon and a global trendsetter. Every outfit she wore sparked a fashion craze. Every line she delivered, a headline. Off-screen, Sarah was redefining Hollywood stardom. She wasn't a conventional beauty by industry standards, but she radiated charisma, intelligence, and authenticity. She made being real fashionable. As one critic wrote, Sarah didn't just play Carrie, she became the heartbeat of New York City. Her fame soared beyond television. She starred in hit films like The Family Stone and Failure to Launch, while emerging as a style icon at the Met Gala and on every red carpet. Brands sought her elegance. Fans adored her honesty. At the height of her success, she wasn't just an actress, she was a cultural phenomenon. The girl who once borrowed clothes now dictated the fashion world's rhythm. And yet, as the lights of Manhattan shimmered brighter, the shadows of fame began to form behind them. For all its glamour, the world of Sex and the City wasn't as sparkly behind the scenes. As the show's success exploded, so did the pressures that came with it. Fame, scrutiny, and whispers that would never quite fade. Rumors of tension between Sarah Jessica Parker and co-star Kim Cattrall became tabloid gold. Headlines screamed of jealousy, favoritism, and icy silence on set. Parker, often described as the diplomat of the cast, stayed quiet, her restraint only fueling more speculation. "There was no fight," she once said softly, "just different lives, different rhythms." But in Hollywood, silence can be louder than truth. Beyond the gossip, Sarah faced something far heavier: the weight of her own image. She had become the world's fashionable ideal, and that title came with a merciless cost. Paparazzi followed her every move, critics dissected her looks, and online trolls mocked her appearance. In a world obsessed with youth, she was aging in public, and doing it unapologetically. Her marriage to actor Matthew Broderick also became a constant target. When rumors of infidelity surfaced, she handled them with grace, saying only, "Every marriage has its private language." Still, the scrutiny took its toll. The line between Sarah and Carrie blurred, until the world forgot there was ever a difference. After Sex and the City 2 received harsh criticism, her career seemed uncertain. Offers slowed. For the first time in decades, Sarah stood in the quiet. No cameras, no scripts, just reflection. But true to her nature, she didn't collapse under pressure. She absorbed it, and began the slow, deliberate act of reinventing herself. After the noise faded, Sarah Jessica Parker chose stillness, and from that silence, she rebuilt. She returned not as the ingenue of New York, but as a woman who had weathered it all. In 2021, she reprised her iconic role in And Just Like That, win a sequel that dared to age with its audience. The world saw a Carrie Bradshaw with wrinkles, grief, and wisdom, and through her, Parker reclaimed the narrative around aging and authenticity in Hollywood. "I'm not going to apologize for getting older," she said. "That would mean apologizing for living." Beyond acting, Sarah flourished as a producer, fashion entrepreneur, and philanthropist. Her SJP collection of shoes became a symbol of empowerment, high heels made by a woman who had walked every mile herself. She invested in theater, supported women's literacy programs, and quietly funded youth arts initiatives, never forgetting where she came from. Unlike many stars of her era, she didn't chase trends or cling to relevance. She embodied evolution. She reminded the world that reinvention isn't about becoming someone new, but about rediscovering who you've always been. Sarah Jessica Parker had once been defined by a character. Now she was defining her own legacy. Today, Sarah Jessica Parker stands as more than just a Hollywood star. She's a symbol of endurance, intelligence, and grace in an industry that rarely rewards those things. From a barefoot child in Ohio to one of the most recognizable women on the planet, her story isn't about overnight success. It's about relentless persistence. She has inspired millions to embrace imperfection, to age with pride, and to find beauty in authenticity. Carrie Bradshaw may have walked the streets of Manhattan in Manolos, but it was Sarah, the woman behind the heels, who taught the world that confidence isn't something you wear. It's something you earn. Critics call her a cultural icon. Fans call her timeless. But Sarah Jessica Parker would probably just call herself lucky. Lucky to have told stories that mattered, to have lived fully, and to still be curious about what comes next. Because in the end, her journey is proof that elegance isn't about perfection, it's about perseverance. And even after the credits roll, she reminds us, you don't have to be born into the spotlight to shine in it. If this story inspired you, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. For more untold Hollywood journeys,